Hello friends, R18DDBL Dev is with you. Today I'm going to show you a pretty interesting comparison. It is to compare that we will compare two screwdrivers without percussion. One from the manufacturer Ryobi R18DDBL, and the second from the manufacturer DeWalt DCD 791D2. Our review will take place as follows. First I will tell you all the characteristics. Of course, I will show all these screwdrivers. Let's see what is the same in them, what is different in them, the price tags are all firm and then we will test them. First we will check their torque with this torque wrench. See the maximum, minimum. Then we will take these 6 infusion screws. See which of them will twist the most. Then we will see which of them will drill the most with these Forstner drills of 35 millimeters. Which of them will make the most holes, so to speak, before overheating? I probably think so. Then I'll take them apart, and we'll see what they have inside, how they differ. Let's go. At the cost of the current day, the DeWalt is around 18,000, the Paradise is somewhere around 16. But this does not take into account any discounts, promotions, and other things. The manufacturers of both screwdrivers are the PRC, that is, the People's Republic of China. In terms of equipment, they have a difference in that the Paradise comes in a soft bag, and here there is a small bidka. But we have a DeWalt in a full-fledged plastic case. Otherwise, it is standard equipment. 2 batteries, a charger, and, of course, the screwdriver itself. There's not much to say about the bag here. There are no pockets, nothing superfluous, just a carrying bag. But about the case here, of course, everything is much more thoughtful and convenient. Here we can leave our own inscription, sign it, so let's say. There are also fasteners like these in order to connect several suitcases, and the fasteners are quite strong. Here is such a system, it is reliable for centuries, so to speak. They are about the same size. Nor Ryobi is a little bigger, it has a larger battery, and it is longer. Let's see how much. Paradise is 19 centimeters, and DeWalt is 18. They are approximately the same in height and thickness. The only thing is that the thickness of the DeWalt, here is the main one, here it is narrower, but here it is almost all over the body. They are identical in height. In terms of weight, the DeWalt we have in the area of 1,550 grams. In the area, it is so much more weighty. It is felt, it feels straight. We already have 1,710 grams of it. Without a battery, it weighs 1,265 grams. DeWalt weighs 1,189 grams without a battery. The batteries here are similar in amperage, it's 2 amperes an hour for both Ryobi and DeWalt, and they are both 18 volt. Now the differences. Here we have a clip-on battery, it sits pretty tight. There's a slider here, we have it hanging out a little bit here. Further, here we have a difference. There is a charge indicator on the DeWalt, there is no indicator on the area. This is where the similarities and differences of batteries ended. Chargers differ not only in shape, here we have only the base and nothing more. Here is the base plus the adapter. Ryobi charges 18-volt batteries, but the DeWalt base charges 10 and 8, 14, 4, 18 and 8-volt different batteries. Also, it is this battery that this base charges in about 40 minutes and charges in about an hour. Now let's put the battery chargers aside and look at the screwdrivers themselves. Both of these screwdrivers are equipped with brushless 18-volt motors. There is also overload protection and an engine brake. Now let's listen to which of them works louder with a noise meter. So, DeWalt. First speed and second. I didn't get a little decibel at all. Now in Paradise. The first speed, and now the second. The result is almost the same. These screwdrivers, that the second has a spindle lock, and quick-release cartridges. We can clamp a maximum of 13 millimeters, both at DeWalt and at Ryobi. When I tightened the cartridges, characteristic clicks were heard. This is a tightening of the cartridge, so that the equipment is held more firmly, and does not fly out during operation. They are similar in this, the difference here in the clamped snap-in is only that the Ryobi can clamp at least 2 millimeters, and the DeWalt is 1.5 millimeters. Both cartridges here are metal, which is on the DeWalt. What's on Paradise? There is another small point, so to speak, in terms of survivability of appearance. Pay attention to the DeWalt of these gray parts. They are made entirely of plastic, and even when we scratch them on something during work, we will not see anything here, because it is a solid plastic of this color. Here it is paint, and therefore, after a while, we will have scratches like this, and it will shine through here. Well, as you can see. Green plastic. The view will remain with DeWalt much longer. Both screwdrivers are quite well rubberized. On the DeWalt, these black parts are all rubber, except for the button. The button here is plastic. On the area of the gray part is rubberized, and the button is also rubber Vystavachka. Start at the minimum speed on these screwdrivers at Ryobi a little bit sharper. The Volta versions are a little smoother. Probably, you have already noticed that both screwdrivers are equipped with a backlight that continues to burn for some time after work. Pay attention, both screwdrivers are shining in the right place. The right one, that Ryobi, that DeWalt. But there is one big plus on DeWalt. There are 3 backlight modes: dim, medium brightness, and very bright. But the reverse button on the area is more distinct and responsive. Here we clearly understand what we include. On the DeWalt here a little bit, somehow all this is much softer and a little not informative. But the gear shift button on the DeWalt is more informative and clear, and it is located longitudinally to the body and transversely on the Paradise. Screwdrivers differ in the speed of rotation of the spindle. On Paradise, at the first speed from 0 to 440 revolutions per minute, at the second, from 0 to 1700. On the DeWalt, from 0 to 550 revolutions, on the second up to 2000 revolutions per minute. But the setting of the tightening torque differs dramatically. Here on the DeWalt, we have a classic torque adjustment of 15 steps. Plus 1 mode for drilling. On Rave here, we have 10 tightening steps, but here we don't have that classic ratchet. We have an electronic control clutch here. It works as follows. You probably noticed how when the battery runs out, the lithium-ion screwdriver starts to turn off. This system is built on this principle. Please note, now I have set the tightening torque to 1, and will turn on the second speed for clarity. Let's take a look. The indicator flashed, so the moment has been reached. I also noticed one, so to speak, chip that is not specified by the manufacturer. When we set the tightening torque to the minimum, look at how it works, or rather pay attention to the speed at which the spindle will rotate. Smoother and slower. We increase the torque. I set it to the maximum for drilling, and the revolutions immediately go to the maximum. Another feature of this system is the memory function. For example, we worked on a unit, then we drilled, and we need to return to the previous tightening moment. We take and look. Now the screwdriver lights up constantly, but as soon as we return to the specified point, it will start flashing. The maximum torque on the Ryobi is 60 newtons per meter. The minimum is not specified. On the DeWalt, 70 newtons per meter is the maximum and 27 at the minimum. Another important point. Pay attention to the area. There is neither a clip nor a cord for hanging on the arm. On DeWalt, all this is, of course, included. We don't have a shoelace, but there is room for it. Here we can attach whatever we want. And here is such a decent clip, quite comfortable. There are bit holders here. On Rave, this is the way we have done it here. I think nothing will fly out, but still, as for me, it's more convenient. This is such a magnetic holder. Everything is very cool, holds any bat firmly, and it's all fast. Perhaps, with the characteristic from the function, this is all I wanted to show you. In general, I thought that many would be outraged, because Ryobi positions itself more as a household tool, for the soul, for work, for home, and DeWalt is a purely professional tool, but still they are similar in characteristics. And the price tag does not differ much, that's why we compare them today. Now let's start the tests. The first test we have, as I have already said, will be checking the torque. For the purity of the experiment, I will take the newly charged batteries on both the Ryobi and the DeWalt. After all, we pressed them a little there, but we'll put them right just loaded. We will screw up these mega capercaillies. Now we'll see where they stop, and check the tightening torque there. First the minimum, then the maximum. Let's start with DeWalt. The minimum that I can check with this key is 20 newtons per meter. Now let's see, let's do it like this. No, less than 20 newtons. Now, after this test, we will try to twist the minimal screws into the desk and see how much it will drown, scroll or stop in time. And now let's look at the minimal locka on Ryobi. So that's it, he doesn't twist further. Check. The minimum I have 20 newtons. Look. This also scrolls, also less than 20 newtons per meter. Now let's leave the same capercaillie and put the maximum tightening torque on the area is 10, and then on the drilling mode. And with the DeWalt in the same way. The neighborhood first. Maximum torque, first speed, let's go. That's it. We stopped at this point. Let's see how much he gave us. I'll start with a minimum of 20. No, it scrolls, there are not even 20 newtons per meter. There will be 20 newtons, I'll show you at what moment. Here they are 20 newtons per meter. So, now DeWalt. We set the torque to the maximum, wrap the same def, but side by side. The same situation, calmly twists. Okay, well, let me do it like this now. I'll twist them out. We set the drilling mode, and already look at the real maximum torque of the opening. Drilling mode into the same hole. Overload protection has worked. Let's change the battery. And one more time. I'll change it to volt 2. I think it's enough, otherwise I'm afraid to burn the screwdriver. Well, accordingly, there are more than 20. 30 newtons per meter. Up. That is, it turns out that he does not finish twisting up to 30. Let's try DeWalt now. I have the first speed, the tightening torque for drilling. So, also a hole. Let's see now how the volt will cope. In general, I think that it is necessary, for example, to give a little rest, as he did, for example, in the area we gave. We will try again now, and only then in the end we will measure it. Because, well, somehow it's not enough. Or maybe it's not quite right. So he's spinning. Not now, everything has really stopped. Here's a decent twist, since I decided to change the battery. That's it, we have nowhere else to turn. A very powerful screwdriver, like the one that this one. Come on, I've got 30 newtons on display right now. I don't know, can't you see? So, let's try DeWalt. Twists. Now fuck off. I wonder what will happen if I twist a little. Like this, for example, to the same extent. And one more time I'll try to spin. No, it doesn't scroll. DeWalt didn't give out by 30. Let's see, we had 30 in paradise, now I'll put 40. So, no, 40 is no longer there. 40 it will be somewhere. Here. To be honest, I didn't expect such a result. That's exactly what Ryobi won in the capercaillie screwing test. He really twisted more, but what I want to say is, if we continued to twist it, I think there would have been smoke. Because there was already a smell, so to speak. DeWalt takes much more care of himself. Now let me turn this whole thing around. So, come on, let's try to turn it out somewhere else. No, DeWalt didn't turn it out. Let's try to put it in paradise and see what happens now. So, aha. So, it turned off, we changed the battery. Well, here I won without comment. I'll change the battery again. Here's the degree of charge. So, apparently, I hope. We are trying to unscrew the capercaillie, which I have already twisted with a DeWalt. After all, he coped with this task, and by the way, pay attention. I wrapped it much stronger than I wrapped it with a screwdriver. But he still unscrewed it. So after all, this is some kind of test for the figure is not quite correct. But I think it's an excellent test for the strength of wrapping. We saw that Ryobi twisted harder. I think this is due to the fact that there are a little less turns here. And a little more in the devolution. We have a large carving, and because of this, everything happened like this. Now let's give the screwdriver a good cool down. Charge the batteries completely, and proceed to the test for screwing the screws. Which one of them will win? Well, the screwdrivers have completely cooled down. I'm going to connect this thing to the next test for screwing screws. This is a thermal imager SIG thermal, and it will show us how much they have cooled down, and how much they will heat up during operation. Now look, both of our batteries are fully charged. We install them, so to speak, for the full frequency of the experiment. I will always use only charged batteries. So, and we proceed to the test of screwing screws 6 by 100 into coniferous wood. Let's start with a screwdriver manufactured by Ryobi. Let's insert fresh equipment there. We have a third cue ball, as a matter of fact, as well as screws, too. We will screw on the first speed. For the second speed, it is a little too long screws, although it would be possible on it. But still, let's on the first one. The first 5 dozen went fine. We continue. So, our protection has started to work. There are about 100 screws here. Now I'm going to calculate everything for sure. You can say exactly 100 screwed in. So, Ryobi showed himself perfectly, 95 screws, 6 by 100. Now let's see how DeWalt shows himself. We will also use fresh equipment. I will leave this one in the re-time, brand new and fresh, the same for the third. And we will twist the same screws. I put the puff on the maximum, not on drilling. First speed. Let's go. All this is the maximum. In fact, I think that he did not spin much more than paradise. Let's do the math. Well, let's summarize the results of this test. Ryobi 95 screws, DeWalt 95 screws. But I want to note one such trend here, so to speak, where the volt turns them straight faster. I liked it more that it's straight, and by the way, it sits down. You probably noticed, it didn't take it straight, it turns right here. And turns off abruptly. No, it's almost like nickel cadmium sits down, that's right already, it's already spinning slowly. And only then turns off. And now, while we are waiting for them to cool down, we will prepare for the next drilling test. With these force drills, probably 35 millimeters. We're not going to drill wood, we're going to drill chipboard. It's more homogeneous, that's what we're going to use. We're going to drill from this side at second speed. Now we have this whole thing will cool down. We will put fresh batteries, and howl. So, the screwdrivers have completely cooled down. The only thing is that the DeWalt is still a little warm. We will put it aside for now to rest further. While we twist with the help of Ryobi, it will cool down until the end. Let's go. The battery is fully charged, we put it on. And by the way, we have also fully charged everything on DeWalt. I think we will put it right away too. Ugh, that's it. This was the last hole. Let's calculate and summarize. The results are exactly why the screwdriver. And we have DeWalt ahead of us. 71 holes, of course, if I didn't miscalculate. By the way, the declared maximum drill at Ryobi is 50 millimeters, at DeWalt 40 millimeters. So we fit in perfectly with the 35th drill. Now DeWalt. I'm already sweating all over. It's probably even possible not to count here. No, although of course I will count, and we will already sum up the results. And I have formed some opinion about this particular screwdriver. So, DeWalt drilled 93 holes, and by the way, Ryobi also did quite well, 71 holes, but I was more tired with him. Because DeWalt turns faster, and drills these holes faster, although I drilled more, I was less tired. The next thing we'll do is disassemble the screwdrivers and look at the motors and gearboxes, and before that, as I promised, we'll screw up these little screws 3.5 by 20 millimeters at the very minimum tightening torque, and see if he will turn them or not. Ryobi first. Yes, there is a lot of time for such screws. Now DeWalt. But DeWalt coped with this task perfectly. The minimum tightening torque is slightly smaller, which means that we have a more versatile screwdriver. So the competition is over. It's time for a showdown. Let's roll out Ryobi first. Here we have torques. It is more correct, of course, to disassemble it with a screwdriver, but my faithful friend Matapa Power Max will help me in this. I specifically started to unwind this particular part to show that we can get to this part of the gearbox a little faster than on the rack, without disassembling the entire screwdriver. Well, now let's take it all apart, too. So let's compare the engines. So, pay attention here, everything is filled in neatly, everything is reinforced. Let's release the central part and look at it in parsing. We also have a bearing and a cooling fan inside there. We have an engine without reinforcement, but I think it's still not necessary on a screwdriver, especially since we have a bad one. Now let's look at the Ryobi engine and compare the inside. Here, when you disassemble carefully this Spunikik, he can fly out and ride far, far away. So he's his. Here we have a bearing located on this side and on this side. This bearing is mounted in the housing. This bearing is directly in the gearbox. The central part of the engine is removed more simply here. There is no need to untwist anything, just pull it on ourselves. So, we compare. Here they are the central part. They are almost identical in diameter, but different in length. Hooray, it's a little bit more authentic. This part of DeWalt is much more compact than Ryobi. According to the thickness of the wire, Ryobi is a little thicker. Now let's assemble the engine from DeWalt, and look at the gearbox. For this very part, of course, everything is done more reliably at DeWalt. Everything is flooded here. Only this lower part is flooded at Ryobi. Everything else is located here, so here is such a board. There's not much flooded here. A small radiator here stands under the engine itself. Well, basically that's it. Now the gearboxes. When disassembling a screwdriver to any tool, I advise you to also turn on the camera and record. It's not necessary to comment, just record and watch. If you forget in what order you were disassembled, you can always look. This is a piece of advice for you, a life hack for the future. If you disassemble the tool yourself, repair it. So, let's see what we have here. Everything is so heavily lubricated. We don't lose this thing either. Very similar as on Ryobi. Here we have a fully metal gearbox, including this gear, which is responsible for switching the speed. So let's do it. Up. So, then we have everything metal here, there is no plastic. Here it is, we have the next part, it is then hooked from the shaft. Here the spindle lock, there is a small barrels, and, by the way, if we want to remove the cartridge, we need a little perhodnik to clamp this part. We clamp this part in the T's, insert the hexagon here, and unscrew the cartridge. Let's now assemble the gearbox completely, and see what we have done in Rave. The only thing is, during disassembly, we lost this sticker, so, of course, we have a hooked battery, but we have enough to check. So, the first speed of the tightening torque works perfectly. Okay, second speed. The first one, the reverse, everything is clear, the backlight, everything is beautiful, everything is great, everything works. Great. Now in paradise. Rave has everything according to the standard here. We take out 2 dowels, and the gearbox is completely free. Neatly here. Op. Oh, and immediately spindle lock we have met. We have a shaft on bearings, and this is very good. So, we put the asterisk back. So, the gearbox we have here is not too big. So, let's carefully leave this part. Oh, there are some pretty big sixers here, even thicker than on DeWalt. But the gear shift gear is made of plastic. There we have another row of gears, and moreover, there are interesting gears there with mini bearings. But I won't risk getting them now, I'll tell you why. I was disassembling a similar impact screwdriver, and now I didn't understand how to disassemble this part. It feels as though it's sealed, and so it is very difficult to shove, to go very problematic. There is no plastic there anymore. The plastic part we have here is this part on the gearbox, and this gear here. So, Ryobi is also collected. Now we will check it for performance and summarize the results. Everything works, there is even a memory of what moment we worked at. So everything is fine here. Drilling, first speed. Great. The second one. Great. So, the backlight works, reverse. Everything is great. Summing up the results, what do I want to say in the end? Both screwdrivers performed perfectly. You have seen the disassembly, the gearbexes are all pretty strong, the motor is brushless, everything is as it should be. The only thing, of course, in the disassembly here, Paradise loses a little bit in terms of too many soldered contacts. In the first competition at the time of tightening, Ryobi won us. In the second test, we had a draw for screwing, but I would still give DeWalt a small score for speed, because my arm was less tired. And of course, where Volt won in drilling and twisting small screws, too. What I want to say for myself, DeWalt defeated us. I will say about him first of all. The screwdriver is excellent for professional use. I was pleased with everything here, to be honest. The hand does not get tired of ergonomics. The speed is calculated as it should be. The backlight is excellent. The size is everything firm, and two, I have no complaints about it, except that the battery is hanging out, but for me, this is not a minus at all. What I want to say about Ryobi, yes, it is a little behind DeWalt, but for home craftsmen, for construction, for such heavy work, it is perfect. And by the way, not only for the home, and for professionals too. Especially when there are any shares on it. I sometimes monitor prices for all RU tools. I noticed that there are such promotions for 2,000 or 3,000 rubles cheaper than exactly the same kit, especially it is interesting to someone who already has a line with such van plus batteries. And that's where this review came to an end. I hope that this comparison deserves an honest thumbs up. All these labors are not in vain, and please write in the comments that you liked it. Maybe you didn't like something, you want to make some changes, maybe you want to see some other tool next time. Write everything. And Artem Lebedev was with you. See you soon.